a way better looking crew of people than I'm used to right now.
We have brisket in Texas.
That's right, yes.
Not in Kansas. So
Luckily, are they in Manhattan?
today.
Everybody good on the back row?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So Joe, we'll do an opening statement, and we'll take some questions. We'll handle it just like we do our post game, where we're handing the mic to you. And then when we get done, we'll have Dave kind of off here to the side.
Yeah, you bet.
So Joe, fire away with the opening statement.
Yeah, thank you. I'm thrilled to be here, and you know, I know you guys don't want to listen to me ramble on. You probably want to get more pointed questions, but I see a heck of an opportunity here with Baylor football, and probably the thing that drew me to this opportunity more than anything was, you know, obviously Coach Aranda has a reputation across this landscape of college football of just being a great football coach, but more than that, an incredible human being. And I've been fortunate to work with great people, and I know that that's what Baylor is all about. And I know that wherever there are great people, and if you can get those great people rowing in the same direction, great things can happen. And I've been fortunate enough to be a part of that. I've been a part of several championship teams and championship organizations, and it always starts with the top man, and I wouldn't have taken this opportunity if it weren't for him. The other thing that drew me to this in a big way was his synopsis of the team insofar as there are a lot of hungry players in the building. There are a lot of guys that want to be great. There are a lot of guys that want to do it for the team. There are a lot of guys that want to do it for the university and have a lot of pride in the university. And that's the best starting point. And I know that there's talent here from playing Baylor for years and years. I know that you can attract talent here. And I believe we can get this thing flipped really quickly. And I think that you grow the most through uncertainty. I think in uncertainty, that's where you find the most growth. That's where you find the most passion. And I think that the quality of your life is in direct proportion to how much uncertainty you can handle. And so I'm thrilled to get uncomfortable, so to speak. And this opportunity is, you know, something that is humongous. I really feel like this is something that we can take great leaps quickly, and that's why I'm excited to get going.
Joe, Bryce Cherry, Waco Trib. So how did the connection with you and Baylor kind of come about?
Well, I know that the Big 12 is a different animal now. And it seems like some of these other leagues have agreements that we're not going to, you know, do anything too crazy. You don't do anything too crazy. And the Big 12 is a wide open, you know, offensive league, a lot of diversity in the different things that you see. I mean, and so I think to be a coordinator in this league, it's nice to have league familiarity. And so, you know, Coach Rand and I don't have a history per se like that. But I think he respected the fact that I've been in this league and I know what this league is about. And throughout, I don't know, braggadocious, whatever, but throughout my body of work, you know, I've been able to have the best defenses in this league. And so I know how to succeed here. And I think that was the attraction for him. And as I mentioned, my attraction was to work for a great man.
Coach Zach Smith, Waco Trib. Coach Aranda has his own scheme, his own style, all of that. How much do you kind of fit with that, and how much change do you expect to make from a scheme perspective on the defensive side?
Yeah, I know that one of the things Coach expressed to me is, you know, his desire to be a head coach, you know, and I know that I don't know how he did it. That's an awful lot to handle a team and run a unit and do all those things. And so I think he wants to, you know, do the things that he's good at is managing people. And so there will be considerable changes to what we do and what we may look like. Obviously, his input is very valuable and welcome, but I think in order to get a fresh start, we probably need some change. And that's not a lance at anything that they've done here previously, but I think these guys want to get a new beginning. And my interactions with them, they're excited about it, and I'm excited to bring it.
To that end, are you going to be calling plays? Is that part of this?
That's the plan, yes.
Jerry Hill, Baylor Bear Insider. Welcome, Coach. You're probably the biggest safeties coach I've ever seen in my life. Can you talk about just the transition from D-line to safeties and
Yeah.
how that worked?
Yeah, I've got an interesting story. It would take more time than what we have today, but I've got a great story. I was a defensive lineman as a player, and then I began my coaching career as a defensive line coach. One day, the head coach came to me and said, "I would like you to coach DBs." And that, it'd be like talking, the sun and the moon. That's how far away we were from that. But I think he saw the fact that I could teach, that I could relate. And one of the things that I think is cool about my DB experience, and really my experience in general, is I think coaching is, there's a lot of copycats, and that's cool. There's a lot of ideas that are out there, but they're just ideas unless you make them your own. And I think that's one thing about my coaching career that I'm proud of. I didn't go to some DB clinic and hear some fancy terms, and that's how I do it. Everything I'm doing and teaching, I've learned through trial and error. Some things work, some things don't work, some things work for certain types of guys, some things don't work for certain types of guys. And so I didn't just take some ideas from some guy that I don't know that has a great name and use them as my own. I've molded them, I've changed them, and through 20+ years or whatever of that, I've done that at the linebacker position. I've done that in the DB room. I've done it up front, and so I've coached at all three levels and been a coordinator since I guess 2012. Or no, wait a minute, 2007. I don't even remember my own dang bio, but so I've done it in a lot of different places, a lot of different ways, and it works.
Roy Ogletree, KWTX. Coach, this may kind of be an open-ended question, but what types of players are you looking for, and have y'all already started digging maybe in the transfer portal or looking at tape for those types of players?
Yeah, we have. We're looking for guys that are hungry. We're looking for guys that are hungry to learn. We're looking for guys that are about the team. Obviously it has to fit in with Coach Aranda's. He's the boss, right? And he's the one. They have to fit in with his philosophy. But I think he and I are aligned that way, that you're going to win championships with guys that have championship mindsets. And I think it starts there. And I know that in my history, I can relate to, being at North Dakota State, and they're still winning championships there. They do it a certain way. And if it was a track meet or if it was a combine, we wouldn't have won any national championships. But we did it with kids that had attitudes that were selfless, guys that were about the team, guys that wanted to get better, guys that truly were the same every day. You didn't have to worry about the up and down. Those are the kind of guys that we're looking for, guys that want to do it and lay it down for Baylor. And it starts there, and then, of course, the talent needs to be there too. And so looking for guys that want and are excited about growth. And to your question of have we started looking, that was priority B. So yeah, we're already on it. Priority A is handling the guys on the current roster and just getting to know those guys and see them and get a chance to meet them, put a name with a face, maybe put them at ease about the transition and what's happening here. Talk about how we're going to move this thing forward. And then priority B is acquiring the guys that are aspiring to be Bears.
Jack McKenzie, Sick'em 365. Where are you and Dave at in the process of filling the defensive line coach role, and what do you guys prioritize out of your defensive linemen?
Yeah, Coach and I have talked about a couple of guys. I think it's very close. Obviously, it's advantageous to get someone in that position before January 2nd. Probably a necessity to get that done, so we're working as quickly as we can to do that. I think out of the defensive line, the number one thing that comes to my mind is disruption. And they come in all shapes and sizes, but philosophically where I'm at is I want the D-line to be as disruptive as humanly possible. And so if we can get guys up there that are causing havoc and both in the run game and in the rush, that's the priority. I know that sounds too common sense maybe, but one of the things that I've been able to do over the years is help the team create turnovers. And when people think of that, they think of the DBs and, wow, they're ball hawks. And That's part of it, but most of those turnovers are created because you're disruptive up front, and because you're doing it with the rush, and you're doing it with the, getting hits on the quarterback, getting ball disruption on ball carriers, and that's, so those four positions are huge, and important, and so that is the priority right now for Baylor in the portal, on defense anyway.
Coach, you mentioned that back, your guys might not have won a track meet back in the day, but.
Or a beauty contest.
But, and you also mentioned you were looking for hungry guys.
Mm-hmm.
I assume if you find like some DB that runs 4.4, also a hungry guy, you'll take that guy in a
man.
heartbeat, right?
Yeah, and I think we have a couple of them in the room. It was interesting that when I got here on Friday, there were a couple of guys in my office already and just sitting there waiting, and I'm excited about that. But yeah, you bet, you want to prioritize guys that have the ability to play at this level. It doesn't, my wife might be really hungry, but I don't want her playing DB for us, So I think that there's certainly a baseline of ability that you have to have too. But I think that my point being, I think they come in all shapes and sizes. And I think that if you get the right recipe there, magic can happen.
You said part A of your plan was kind of talking to the guys that were here and retaining some of that. Have you talked with Keaton Thomas yet? What do you think of Keaton, and how much of an anchor can he be for what you want to do on defense?
Yeah, I talked to Keaton. Actually, before I got here, I called him on the phone. Maybe it was Thursday night, I can't remember, but I think he was the first guy I talked to, and not necessarily by design or whatever, but I just know that name, and I know how important he is, and so what I'm fired up about him is I think he really loves football, and you can tell by the way he talks. You can tell that he cares about the team by the way he expressed some things to me, and so I'm what I kind of tried to tell him was I don't know where he was in his journey. Obviously, you can see a lot of the great things on tape that he does on the field, but now what I'd like to help him do is I'd like to help him become a better leader. I'd like to help him become a better, more intelligent football player. I'd like to try to help round him out a little bit so that if his aspirations are to play at the next level, he's ready. And and one of the things I guess I'm most proud of is some of the guys that I've dealt with that have played in the NFL, and I try to tell guys this is there's playing in the NFL and then there's playing in the NFL. If you're a good player at Baylor, you'll have a good chance to play in the NFL, meaning you're going to get into camp, maybe playing a couple preseason games, and that's great. You'll have stories for the rest of your life. But there's a difference between that and making a team and playing for multiple years and getting a second contract and making a living playing this game. And the difference is not ability as much as it is your understanding of the game and your understanding of situational football and your understanding of taking care of your body, your understanding of being having some maturity to do all the little things right consistently and the discipline to do that. And I think I'm a good teacher of those things, and I guess time will continue to tell, but it's worked for me so far.
Coach, for the layman like me, what is the scheme that you are looking to run, and what can fans look for when they're just watching the game?
Yeah. Without getting too specific on those things, but we did. I've been able to work through a lot of different systems in my time, but primarily we were a 4-down front that had the ability to get into some odd spacing. I don't know if that's a layman's term or not, but could work through both of those worlds. And the coverage stuff, although it's plain, has a lot of diversity to be able to change and move and melt, and they all fit in just a few families, but you can make them look a lot of different ways. And so simpler for the players, but probably has the ability to look very multiple to opponents. And what's kind of cool is my history. When I was at North Dakota State, we were a 4-down, team, and felt like we did that stuff as well as anybody. Played a lot of quarters and did some other things, but felt like I could coach that through anything. And when we got to Kansas State in 2019, we had success in 2019 on defense and as a team, but that was really just because we were new and different, and players bought into us, and we weren't very talented, but we did, kind of had a new energy, and that was good. And then 2020 was the COVID year, which had, its own unique set of challenges, but we weren't very good. And after that year, Chris Klanderman and myself sat down and said, is what we're doing really right for the Big 12? At that time, the Big 12 was a little bit different offensively, and there, was a wide open RPO all over the place. And the teams that were having success at that time on defense were Baylor back then, and Iowa State. And the common denominator was they were 3 high safety teams. And so we kind of jumped into that world. I shouldn't say kind of. We jumped into that world with both feet, not knowing anything about that. There's nothing in my history, and nobody came in and said, this is how you do it. It was just grinding tape and trial and error and, things I mentioned before. We did that up until this past season. And this season, we went back for a number of reasons. Number one is I think the Big 12 is shifting a little bit, and a lot of people have kind of caught on to that 3 high safety thing. And, since then it was, then it was kind of a shock value. But since then, Cincinnati's doing it, and Oklahoma State's doing it. And so, it's something you see more weekly. But the other reason was, recruiting-wise, I think it's hard to recruit really talented, even though we did an all right job with it. It's hard to recruit really talented defensive linemen into that. Nobody wants to go be a 4-eye, people want to rush and people want to do stuff. So it helped with that. And we had talent on the D-line. So we wanted to get as many of those people out there as we could. So went back and got back into the 4-down world. And I think, in my evaluation, I didn't think we were great on defense there this year relative to what we were used to, but we did get a lot better as the year went on. And I think what I learned was how to install it, how to make it simpler for players, I worked out a lot of the bugs, I guess is what I'm trying to say, so that, if we go down that road again, I know exactly how to do it and how to present it better, so that we can expedite the process of getting better quick, because Auburn's just around the corner.
You mentioned Coach Kleiman. Obviously, he retired, but what did you take away from your time with him, and what has he meant to you in your career?
Phenomenal people person, one of the best people I know. His motto is, I want to impact someone on a daily basis. And if I've taken nothing else from him, and he lived it, that's it. And I owe a lot to that man, and so thankful for him. And I hope that I can live up to the standard that he set that way. There wasn't a day that went by where, it didn't matter who you were or what your role was. We all had a role within the organization, and he was touching your life. And I'm hoping that I can do the same.
As a Midwesterner, what are you most looking forward to about living in Texas?
Do I have an accent?
A little bit.
Do I?
I mean,
Yes?
it takes one to know one. I'll say that. Anyway,
I'm working on it. I'm saying y'all more now, doing some more things like that. I'm excited about Texas because I know it matters down here. And I know it matters at the high school level, it matters at levels below that, and it certainly matters here. And I think that you always want to be in the big pond, right? And this is the big pond. And now that we're here, it's time to go hunting. Thank you, guys.